So a little bit of breaking news that happened around a couple hours ago is that Antonio Pierce has been hired to be the full-time coach of the Vegas Raiders. I think that this is a really good move in several ways. One, it shows your players in Mark Davis that it shows the players and the fan base that you care about them because they really did want the coach. Now, in a lot of ways, that can't just be the only thing is appeasing the fan base, or else you're going to be out of a job. You're going to be sitting with them. If you listen to fans, you're going to be sitting with the fans. Okay? However, fans also have the ability to put pressure on the ownership groups, or, voicing their displeasure through different channels of communication. But your players also, if they're the ones that need to go out there on the field and deal. It's always about the players. Coaches can be there to help the players succeed. Now, you look at this move on the surface, and I guess the Raiders could have went out there and maybe tried to get Jim Harbaugh, but I'm not sure how interested he would have been. And again, Jim Harbaugh took some time at Michigan to get rolling. Now Jim Harbaugh is at the peak of his stock. But, Antonio Pierce is younger than even a Jim Harbaugh. Antonio Pierce already knows your organization. He's been there for a year. He's known the players. Aiden O'Connell has experienced some success. He went to Kansas City and won those games. He keeps the locker room together. But also from an X's and O's and a defensive perspective, he's really, really solid. To be a middle linebacker in the NFL, you have to lead the entire defense. So he knows about pass rushing. He knows about ways to get to the quarterback. He knows about some ways to defend. So Antonio Pierce has an acumen for that side of the ball. Antonio Pierce is respected. He's been in the NFL a long time, all right? And he knows what it's like to win a championship. He did it with the New York Giants. So Antonio Pierce really knows a lot of those things. He has a real specialty for the defensive side of the ball. This team this year really bought into Pierce and really shined towards the end of the year. So I understand where where some critics can come in and say, listen, he hasn't been a head coach before. He hasn't even really been a defensive coordinator before, and you're rewarding him off of a short-term run here. You're rewarding Antonio Pierce off of a short-term run, and you're just doing this to appease the players and the fan base. So I'll respond to that. One, I think that beating Kansas City in Kansas City is an incredible accomplishment. It's something that the team hasn't done in a while. I believe that going with Aiden O'Connell was a bold move, starting a rookie over two experienced quarterbacks in Jimmy G and Brian Hoyer, and Aiden O'Connell continued to get better as the year goes on. Bo Hardegree was a really good decision. Jeff Saturday had the same experiences. Now, maybe you could point to the Colts being worse and the Raiders having some star talent. But the way that he was able to get them to play since their time with McDaniels, he honestly had a great, short sample size. He aced that part of the test. The other part is if you're going to bring in a new coach or, again, bringing in new change, you're going to have to pay huge money for a brand new coach. And going for the fences, swinging for the fences, whether it was with Gruden or McDaniel, it takes a while, and it was not working. And constantly hearing a new message is just, for these players, they need some sense of continuity, and that's what I believe Antonio Pierce can do for the Raiders. For this situation, it was perfect for Antonio Pierce to get this job. He has connections with the West Coast. He's passionate about this team. I believe that he'll listen to analytics. He's somebody that won't be stubborn, and that's a huge part of the job. Offensively, he's going to hire good offensive coordinators. And then Aiden O'Connell as a quarterback, he's going to have to see, how successful can Aiden O'Connell be at quarterback. Now, they still have positions here in the draft. Maybe they're going to go out and look for a more mobile quarterback, whether that's Jaden Daniels, whether that's Bo Nix, or whether that is Michael Penix. So they see Aiden O'Connell every day. Now, O'Connell is somebody that as a pocket passer is somebody that I like, is somebody that throws the ball with good velocity. He throws it with accuracy. He's still learning as a rookie, but this is somebody that I believe could be a very proficient passer in the league. He just can't really move at all. He can't even move like Kirk Cousins and extend really in a lot of ways. So he's going to continue to work on that. But I believe that you could have a really good quarterback there that you see in this process. Hardegree is interesting as an offensive coordinator. We're going to see if the Raiders are going to retain him. I thought he did a nice job there. And the defense really played lights out with Patrick Graham. And I believe that Graham is going to, I believe that he's going to stay with the Raiders as well with Antonio Pierce. So, overall, he pushed all the right buttons, and he led his team and did great in the time when he was the interim, so I think he deserves to get this head coaching honor. I also believe that with Mark Davis and how crazy and how unstable the Raidership organization has been in the last 20 years, I think that some of the young coordinators like a Ben McDonald or Ben Johnson, it's more attractive for them to go to Washington than maybe go to Tennessee than it is to go to a team that already kind of has its stars. And I don't think that the young coaches are going to look to rebuild in this process. So, and then you could have went with Mike Vrabel or Belichick, but that's again from the Patriot tree. And then Jim Harbaugh and Davis wouldn't have got along perfectly. So I believe that this was the best option for the Raiders because of the reasons that I've mentioned. Now, is Antonio Pierce going to, vault up to the top of being a top 5 or 10 coach? I think he can be fine. I just think that, again, he knows the defensive side of the ball. On offense, he needs to continue to look into hiring really good offensive coordinators. All right. So I think he could do the job and do it at a fairly high level, which is what he's done. And getting Maxx Crosby and these guys to finally buy in, it's time for the Raiders to start stacking some playoff appearances. Here's the point about the Raiders is that you got to crawl before you can run. And right now, or you got to walk before you can run or jog. And right now, they are crawling. So that's what they're doing. They're crawling. They're going to have to look to walk. Okay, and walking is getting the 9 wins. Okay, even though the AFC is getting harder. Walking is getting to 9 wins. All right, so retain some continuity and try to build this thing. That's why maybe you go with O'Connell. You try to bolster, have a really good defense, okay? And then if there's a quarterback that you're so committed on that the entire organization is behind 1,000%, if it's in this draft, it's Bo Nix maybe or something, or Michael Penix, then you can try to take your swing. But right now, Antonio Pierce, you're showing the players on the roster right now that you care. First of all, if Pierce doesn't work out and it was just a short-term sample size and it doesn't work out, you get a 2-year runway with Antonio Pierce. You probably hire him for a 3-year deal. I think Pierce is, again, I think that Pierce with the Raiders, this is the one spot where he's going to take the job because he hasn't been a defensive play caller for a really long time. So in terms of financial, you could save some money financially and just see if it works. And guess what? If it doesn't work within a year or two, you then showed loyalty to your players. You tried to get the most out of the current players on your roster, and then you'll have time to relax and really make a detailed hire. All right. So again, it's a fluid situation with the Raiders, but every situation's different. I'm not saying, like, if I were to rank the coaches in this coaching cycle, I believe honestly that Antonio Pierce might be the 6th or 7th best coach out there. I like, Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald. As crazy as this sounds, I think Arthur Smith can be a good offensive coordinator and can eventually become a very, very good head coach. I believe that Dan Quinn is just as qualified as Antonio Pierce to be a head coach. He was a head coach for a Super Bowl winning team or for a Super Bowl attending team. He's won some playoff games. The defense in Dallas has been spectacular. I know the playoffs haven't been great defense, but Quinn has gotten the most out of the talent in Dallas. You can point to that over both seasons. Okay, I know they didn't have a good outing last Sunday. I guess that's all people will focus on. So, but the point is now is that you have a quarterback. I think that you're going to be sticking with this core, and you're going to try to get the most out of this core. And again, from the Raiders' standpoint, it makes sense to give Pierce this opportunity. And he's earned it. He did a brilliant job through the last 6 months of the season, okay? It isn't Pierce's fault that he doesn't have the acumen of Vrabel or Belichick. He just literally has not had the chance yet to prove that. And now he's going to get a chance, and I'm very happy for him. As a Giants fan, one of my favorites growing up, love his personality, love the swagger and passion he brings to the game of football. And the Raider brand, hard-nosed Raider football, is coming back, even though it's not at the Coliseum, which would have been fantastic, which is the roots of the Vegas Raiders or the Oakland Raiders. This is now a new chapter, and Antonio Pierce, again, deserves this opportunity for having a great interim period, and he's a guy that has been a successful linebackers coach at both the NFL and college, so he is very qualified for this position. And I think that Raiders fans are pumped. I think the players are all in. I think the organization can maybe all go in one direction here. So congrats to Antonio on preserving the head coaching job and getting the head coaching job there.